guys, Todd Anderson here with another playtest video alongside Braun-Duin. I'm playing Blue-Green Delver, and he is playing Red-Green Trading Post. He'll be talking about his deck right after me, but we're going to do a quick deck tech before we get started. Now, most of you already know that Delver is a really powerful card. The deck has been around for a while now, but different iterations keep popping up, and each of them have their own strengths and weaknesses. So today we're going to talk about some of the strengths of the blue-green version playing Quirion Dryad. So going over the creature base, as normal we have the 4 Delver of Secrets, 4 Snapcaster Mage, but we also have the newer edition in Quirion Dryad, which is very good alongside all of your cheap cantrips and cheap removal spells. He also triggers twice off of Snapcaster Mage, which is important. Quirion Dryad is good for a couple of reasons, but the main reason I like him is because a lot of the removal in the format is damage-based, such as cards like Pillar of Flame, Bonfire of the Damned, Gutshot, and even Tragic Slip for the most part. And that makes cards like Quirion Dryad much better because if you have all these free spells to grow them, you make it where they're unable to actually kill your creature. So I really like Quirion Dryad for that reason. He's also a very powerful threat on turn 2, which Delver doesn't have a lot of those. Geist of St. Traff comes down on 3, but sometimes it's just a little bit too slow. I like to compare them. They're both really great alongside cards like Vapor Snag and Gutshot because you can just clear out their blockers and make room to attack them for huge chunks of damage. Continuing on with the creatures, we have a pair of Phantasmal Images and a pair of Talrand Sky Summoner. I've recently cut down from 3 to 2 Talrand simply because having more than one in your hand in Game 1 is not very good in many matchups. For the most part, your opponents are going to be wasting their removal spells on Delver of Secrets and Quirion Dryad. You're also a little low on mana sources, so you don't want to play too many 4-drops in your deck because you want to save a lot of your cantrip spells for when you have a Talrand in play. And if you're using all of your cantrips early to draw into the lands to cast Talrand, he's not going to be nearly as powerful as he is if you just naturally hit your 4 lands. So, going over the card draw, we have 4 Ponders, which is the best draw spell in the deck. It allows you to dig for extra lands, threats, and shuffle away bad cards when you don't need them. We have 4 Gitaxian Probe, which are awesome with Snapcaster Mage because they're basically free. With Snapcaster Mage, you can turn it into a Silvergill Adept of sorts, while also being able to trigger Quirion Dryad and Talrand for free. We have 3 Thought Scours, which are basically just the last cantrip, and we're only playing 3 of them. I could even see cutting down to 2, but I wanted like at least 10 cantrips, and it's better than Twisted Image, it's better than Fleeting Distraction because you don't always have a creature to target. You can also use it with Snapcaster Mage at the end of turn to have an instant speed cantrip off of the Snapcaster Mage. For removal, or what I like to call removal, we have 4 Vapor Snag and 4 Gutshot. These are very tempo-driven cards. If you're ahead on board, they're both awesome because with Gutshot, you're like killing a Birds of Paradise or Navason's Pilgrim or Llanowar Elf while also progressing your board state since you're using Phyrexian mana instead of actual mana. And then Vapor Snag, you're paying 1 mana usually to remove a creature that costs more than 1 mana off the board. This will generate board advantage and tempo advantage, and you can usually punish your opponent with cards like Snapcaster Mage and flip Delver of Secrets as well as Quirion Dryad when you're removing their creatures. We have 3 Mana Leaks, which I haven't really liked that much, but I still think that they're a necessary evil. I am contemplating cutting down to 2, but every time I want to do that, I end up playing against a bunch of control decks and then getting demolished because I'm short on a counterspell. But generally, Mana Leak is very good against slower decks, but now that Cavernous Souls is a thing in virtually every deck, Mana Leak's not nearly as good, but it's still something that you kind of just need to have. We also have a pair of Mental Missteps that we use as protection for our Quirion Dryads against cards like Vapor Snag and Tragic Slip, but they're also just very good at countering cards in the mirror such as Delver of Secrets, Ponder, and stuff like that. So. The mana base is pretty straightforward. We have 4 Hinterland Harbor and 4 Cavernous Souls as our quote-unquote dual lands. Cavern of Souls names either Wizard or Dryad most of the time. Occasionally it'll name Illusion for Phantasmal Image, but in the games where you're doing that, it's a little awkward. We also have 2 Forests and then 10 Islands. Now we're playing 20 lands instead of the 19 that I was talking about last week. I felt like I needed another land a lot of times, and I think that just adding an extra island is correct. So, going over the sideboard real quick, we have a pair of mutagenic growths, which can save our creatures from cards like Bonfire of the Damned and Pillar Flame. We have a Mental Misstep, which is very good against the Delver matchups, countering Vapor Snag and other cheap removal spells, as well as cards like Delver of Secrets. We have 2 Steel Sabotage. These come in against the Mirror on occasion to stop Runechanter Spike, or not the Mirror, but the blue-white Delver version. They're also very good against Trading Post and various other archetypes that have a bunch of artifacts. And like we can't really afford to play a card like Naturalize because we only have 6 sources of green mana in the main deck. But Steel Sabotage does the job that you need it to do. So we have 2 Sleeps. This is for the matchups that include Blade Splicer, so that you can lock down their board for a turn and make your Corian Dryad able to get through. A pair of Phantasmal Images in the board to help out with opposing Geist Saint Traft. It also can copy opposing Talrayans, or even just, you can copy a Flip Delver of Secrets or a Snapcaster Mage. It's a good card. For control decks, we have a Jace the Mind Sculptor, a Negate, and the 4th Mana Leak. These all come in against decks with a lot of sweepers, decks with lots of miracles, Terminus, etc. We have 2 Thrag Tusk. They come in against a variety of matchups. I kind of like siding them in against the blue-white Delver deck sometimes, but mostly it's for decks like Zombies. And then we have a 3rd Talrayan, which we bring in against a variety of archetypes whenever we feel like we need more high-impact threats that, once your opponent has expended all of their removal spells on your Delvers and Corian Dryads, you have an extra Talrayan to sort of mop up afterwards. So, anyways, guys, that's Blue-Green Delver. We'll be right back with Red-Green Trading Post.